Can I tell you my funny story?
Go for it.
So this morning, right? Charlie, please be quiet. This morning, right? I was like in like the shower, and I only use the shower in my mum's bedroom, which is next to my bedroom. And I usually like blast a lot of music. Like I like straight up music. It's just on play. Like I can't pause it for some reason. Like obviously my hands are gonna be wet. I can't just go stop and like press the pause button or something.
Yeah.
And like Google sucks on my phone. So if I say, I'm not gonna say it now because it's gonna react, but like if I say Google, then it will but it won't work. So I was blasting my playlist, and I had no control whether I could skip a song or not. So I went on to into the shower, not expecting my mum to walk halfway through like into her room. She has to pass the bathroom, but I kept the door closed, obviously. And usually when my mum goes upstairs to her room, she always makes like a lot of noise. Like she basically bangs on the like wooden floor, so I can hear it. So I know that she's gonna come into the room, so I don't get scared that a random like person's just open up drawers in the room. And I was there in the shower, and my music was silent for a second because it was transitioning songs. And I hear my mum walk up, and I'm like, oh no. And then Bars and Melody's new song Holiday, which is a really, really sexual song, and it swears a lot. Like every line it has like the F word, and like it swears a lot. Was starting to play, and I was like, oh no. So I hear my mum walk into her room. She's gonna get her laptop. She told me she was gonna get her laptop when I came out the shower finally. And she came into her room to like do whatever she wanted to do. And like there's a really long intro in the Holiday song, so I was like, please go before you hear the swears. And I was standing there in the shower, laughing, trying not to make a sound, laughing with music blasting as loud as I could, which is really loud. If I do say so myself, it sounds really, really loud. Especially in an echoed room where it echoes a lot. And I can hear my mum talking, and then the lyrics come on, and I'm like, oh no. And good old Charlie, he goes, we threw it all away, but I want to F today. And I'm like, oh flip. and my mum, and then like it goes, yeah, we can go on holiday, effing in the Hall of Fame, take a seat at my throne, which clearly means take a seat on my lap.
Yeah.
And I heard my mum just abruptly stop walking, and, and the lyric repeated itself. And she was there, just standing there, and then I was standing there in the shower for 2 straight minutes, just laughing, trying not to like make as much sound, whilst my mum just like sadly had to listen to her child listen to a very sexual song. We haven't brought it up since. I've like seen her 3 times. We haven't spoke about it since. We just give each other odd looks. That was my great story. Anyway, we got to start the intro. Welcome to Midsummer Dreaming. I'm Avocado.
I'm Pineapple.
And this is our podcast.
See, I ain't got no type. Baby, name your price, yeah. Ain't about the hype. You could be a wifey, yeah. Show me what you like. Put a ring on every finger. No water, just ice. You can check the price.
So, Pineapple has just woken up. She's going to sound a bit depressed. This is our second episode of this podcast. How are you feeling this time? Still as nervous as last time?
Yeah. No, well... Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Well, when we first started this, I was thinking, oh, it's just be us watching it. Then I realized we got more viewers than we thought we were going to get.
I mean, it's not like we got like tens of thousands of millions of people watching it. We got 7 views.
No, I just thought it'd be like you, me, and one other person. Yeah, well, that didn't happen.
I mean, we did name it. I almost fainted when I met Max and Harvey. So Max and Harvey fans, the Millsies are probably going to be like, excuse me?
Yeah.
So this episode of this podcast is going to be a little bit more kind of hard hitting, down to earth, heart to heart with us. If anything like death or mental health, like suicidal thoughts, self-harm, anxiety, anything like that triggers you, then do not watch this episode, because we are going to go not into too much detail, but that's basically the whole kind of genre of this episode. We're just going to be speaking about our kind of experiences with mental health and with death. But yeah, so if it triggers you, please don't watch this. Go watch our other one that was a little bit more, happy.
Family-friendly content.
Okay, so have you experienced any kind of like mental health? It doesn't have to be severe, but if you have, like, would you like to share a story, or would you like to share how that kind of feels?
I mean,
Because I think the thing is with mental health is that a lot of people think they're on their own. And like, even if they know that they're not on their own, it feels like it inside a lot, because not everyone around them has suffered with it at all. So
I mean,
do you want to,
I don't really have many stories. I've never really done anything like that. But I do have a certain way of dealing with my problems.
Okay.
That's a little.
We'll get to that in a minute.
But
Keep that little certain way. Just for now, because I think we'll add that in the end. So it's kind of like a sort of resolution you could do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll hop into my story here. I have, of course, dealt with a lot of mental health situations, and not all of them was as severe as, like, the one big one that I'm going to be talking about today, but I, of course, do suffer with it. High school, let's go back to high school. It was, I think, it was like near the end of year 6, actually, where I was doing my SATs, or not mock exams, SATs, which is like tests that you do, like end of year exams, basically. And I was doing that, and I'm pretty sure one of them days I walked into school with one of my mates, and like, as I walked into school, I'm not saying everyone looked at me, but like majority of people that were in my class in year 6 did look at me, because we had 2 year 6 classes, so the majority of them did keep like looking at me and smiling and sniggering and turning to their friends. Now, I've always been bullied in primary school, so I guess I just thought that was one of them things, and I just tried to ignore it. I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to say any names, because as much as, like, it has affected me in high school and in the past, I'm going to keep their names private for their safety. But there was this one boy, he, I'm pretty sure, said something, but I'm not sure what it was. He did say something, I just didn't hear it because he was like halfway across the playground. And then I think one of my mates thought it was to her, and then she turned around, had a go at him, and I'm like, no, it's not for you, it's for me. She was like, oh, okay, what is it about? I didn't know what it was about at all. So when I walked into school and we were doing our SATs, I kind of felt quite pressured in the actual kind of like SATs exam thing, because these certain boys kept looking at me, turning around to stare at me. And this isn't like any type of bullying. This is kind of like a story that basically leads up to the whole year 8 situation that I had. So I felt kind of pressured, and I don't think I did as well in my SATs because of that. And that's when I started to develop anxiety. I didn't develop it as much, and it kind of went away during the summer before I transitioned into year 7 of high school. But I did, develop a little bit of anxiety because everyone kept looking at me, and it was a lot worse than just, teasing and bullying I used to have. There was, in year 6 again, so I was still in year 6. I think the next day because we had 1 week of SATs. The next day, I walked into school with the same friend that I was with yesterday. I had my own little friendship group. Some of them are still in my friendship group now, but some of them have like branched off to others. And this other guy, it's not the same guy that it was the first time. This other guy was kind of like at the gate, and he turns to me says my name and says, "Is it true you fingered yourself?" and put it all over your Snapchat story. I didn't know what fingering myself meant. Of course I do now, because obviously in year 7 I learnt about it because it was still there. Apparently I still did it. And I didn't have Snapchat or Instagram. I wasn't allowed any social medias, and the phone I had could only kind of like text people. I could play games, but I could text people. That's about it. I couldn't download anything because my mum put like a protecting sort of thing because she didn't want me on the internet. And I know you can get Instagram online, but I'm always like quite a goody two shoes that I don't really go online and do something unless my mum approves it, because I'm quite like that. I've just been raised like that, basically. And I was like, no. And I was like really confused because, one, I didn't know what it meant. My mum ended up having to tell me. And 2, I didn't have Snapchat whatsoever. So I don't know who the hell kind of like thought that was me, because I didn't have Snapchat at all. And I walked in to school and it kept following me around. And I don't mean people kept following me around, sorry. I meant that people kept asking, "Is it true you fingered yourself? Is it true you fingered yourself? Is it true you fingered yourself?" And I kept telling them, I don't know what that meant. And they just kept laughing and go, "Yeah, sure you don't." And I'm like, I seriously don't know what that means. Like, what? So I came home that day sort of crying because everyone kept saying that I was doing this or I did it. And I didn't even know what I supposedly did. So my mum, of course, being the caring mother she is, she turned to me, she was like, "Are you okay? What's happening?" And I turned to her and I basically explained what on earth was going on and what people kept saying. She looked at me with the most horrific face ever. She was horrified, basically. And I was like, "What? Why are you looking at me like that? I didn't do it." And she was like, "No, I know you didn't, but the people that are saying this are disgusting." And I'm like, "What does it mean?" Of course, she couldn't lie to me about what it meant because I was going to find out sooner or later. It was going to be at school if she wasn't going to tell me herself. And she told me, and that's when I really wanted to throw up. I'm pretty sure I did, but I can't remember exactly if I did or not. And that's when I was like, I wouldn't do that at all. Like, no. And nah. So I had roughly like 3-4 weeks left of year 6 left. And I ended up having to tell one of the teachers that I had, which actually happened to be the deputy head because she taught me for maths. And this deputy head was, I was like crying to her, telling her how I felt because they kept saying that was happening. I didn't even know what it was. How did you do it? Like, no. And I didn't have any social medias at all. And this deputy head said that she would talk to this boy who first said it. And she even said, she said his name and then said, he is a bit, he basically likes to, make stuff up sometimes. And he's a bit of a troublemaker. So he probably just said it out the blue, not even thinking about it. I believe you, I'm sure it's not true. And I was like, all right. So I can't remember exactly if it carried on. I'm pretty sure it did, because of course it carried on into year 7, but I can't remember that. So in summer, I was like so excited for year 7, a new school, new friends. I loved school. I loved it. Loved being the key word. And I go into school in year 7, and again, majority of people are looking at me, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. The whole year 7, year 8, year 9, even year 10, which is where I'm in now, people keep bringing it up all the time. And in year 7, it really kind of like made my anxiety go very bad. And it kind of like really messed with my head because I knew for a fact I didn't do it. And I didn't even know what it was. And I'm not just saying that because, I know people who do stuff, not exactly like that, but do stuff and say, oh, I didn't do it. I generally didn't do it. I generally did not know what it was. And the fact that people could just believe this one person throughout like this whole thing, it was just messed me up. And of course, being kind of like, I guess, the topic of rumors and the topic of the target of anybody bullying, I kind of got myself into a lot of fake friends. And so in year 7, it followed me around everywhere, and caused a lot of kind of hurt sort of thing, emotionally as well. And it wasn't even just people keep on asking me if I fingered myself. No, this time, loads of like, from this one little thing, loads of things came up. And it was things like, did you finger yourself and post it all over your Instagram? Which I didn't have. Did you do it with a brush or something like that, stuff like that? And did you finger yourself, send it to this guy? And did you finger yourself and send it to this one? Or did you finger yourself and put it on the school website? Like, and I'm like, what? Where is this coming from? So from that little tiny thing, that whole thing came up. It was like name calling, like slut, hoe, bitch. It was and it was like fishy fingers, things like that. And there was at least, I don't know, maybe 20 plus comments I would get throughout lesson 1 and 2, and that's 15 minutes each left, lesson 1 and 2, so it was quite a long time. So about 100 minutes of just like 20 plus comments until break, and I wouldn't get that much, and then it would happen again. So in year 8, of course this carried on, it didn't stop at all. And I had hardly anyone kind of like talking to me, unless I was kind of friends with this group of girls that is actually quite popular right now. And they kind of weren't really my like proper friend. Halfway through year 8, I'm pretty sure, is when I kind of spiraled quite out of control. And in year 8, there was more rumors that I came back to in year 8. It wasn't just the fingering rumor. No, it was I had slept with this certain guy. I have sucked this person's dick. I have sent nudes to this person. But things like that. I apparently smoke. I was apparently pregnant for 2 months until I didn't get any fatter, and everyone was like, oh, she's obviously not pregnant. She probably had a miscarriage. Like something like that. And of course, my boyfriend at the time was kind of breaking up with me because he couldn't deal with his friends constantly being like, didn't your girlfriend finger yourself? Or didn't your girlfriend sleep around with this guy? Doesn't your girlfriend have crabs? Which is a infectious disease, I'm pretty sure. I didn't really learn about it until year 9, so I'm pretty sure that was an infectious disease. Yeah. Does your girlfriend have an STD? Oh, have you sucked off? Has your girlfriend sucked you off? Oh, have you slept with your girlfriend yet? Apparently she slept with 5 other men. It was horrific stuff like that, which I know saying that I didn't do it won't necessarily mean people believe me. But trust me, I didn't do any of that, and I wouldn't do any of that until I was legally of age, which I wasn't at the time. I was probably 13. So I got a lot of stuff like that, and the rumors just kept piling up and up and up. Oh, did you hear this? That this girl slept with this girl's boyfriend. Oh, did you hear that this girl had a threesome with this people? Did you hear that this girl sucked someone off in the school toilets? It just kept piling on and on. It was the same sort of things, just reversed into different names of boys and different kind of like times. And yeah. At the time, I met one of my very good friends that I call a brother, basically. He's like a brother to me. So if he is watching this, which I don't think he does, but if he is, thank you. You know who you are. And it was this guy, and he basically saw me spiral out of control. And I don't mean always crying. I mean deep into depression and self-harm and suicidal thoughts. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I would be here right now. So this guy basically saw me spiral out of control, and he spent 6 months to a year trying to help me kind of get out of this. I did eventually, halfway through year 9, I eventually got out of this. And I was so good. Like if anyone in my school is hearing this and calling this complete BS, because I was so good at just pretending to be happy. People with mental health, some people are very good at doing it. And I just happened to be one of them people that could easily hide it from everyone. So I was putting on this fake persona that I was so happy, including to my mum. My mum didn't even know I had these depression, self-harming and suicidal thoughts until this guy told me to tell her. And I trust this guy, the guy who helped me. I trust him a lot. So I did end up telling her. And that's when my mum got involved with the school and started, speaking to the school, because the school wasn't doing anything. I was telling the school exactly what's going on, but they kept saying, ignore it, ignore it. Sometimes ignoring it doesn't help at all. Not at all. It makes it worse. Because it's kind of like saying, oh, bottle it up, bottle it up. You're not meant to bottle up these kind of things. I'm pretty sure I still have a scar of where I last cut. And it's slowly fading away, but it's always there, kind of staring back at me like, you did that not too long ago. And when I say not too long ago, I don't mean this year. I mean like last year. So when I was just about to get out of like the deepness of depression, that's when it happened. And this guy that was helping me helped me a lot. So I'm thankful for him, basically. So I finally did get out of this state of depression, of constantly feeling like a brick wall was just there, staring back at me. And I can't climb it because it's too high. And I can't really dig underneath because I've got nothing to dig it with. And I don't know what's behind it or around that corner. It could be a corner. It doesn't have to be a massive brick wall. So I just have to wait until it tumbled down. I had to wait until it just fell apart. And it was definitely the scariest thing, not knowing what's going to happen to me after that brick wall. Is there going to be another brick wall? Is there going to be someone like biting back at me? It was like I was screaming for help, but it was all coming out in like a whisper. And it was all coming out in silence. It was like I was never actually saying anything, but in my head, I was banging on for people to help me. But no one was there to help me at all. It just felt really alone, basically. So I eventually got out of this state of depression halfway through year 9. It didn't mean that the rumors stopped. I'm still now, like right now, as of right now, it's actually died down a lot. And I think it might be COVID. People might just, think, they got more important stuff to think about than just making up a few rumors. Or it might be because they've grown up. But it doesn't mean I still don't get the odd fishy fingers kind of thing. It doesn't mean I still don't get the odd, oh, you dated him. Apparently you had his baby. Apparently you got pregnant with him like three times. Like, it just doesn't make sense, really. So I'm not saying, like, I did come out fully out of it, but in year 10, when I'm being honest, when we would have online school, I generally was the happiest. Like, I didn't have any peer pressure. Like, it wasn't even peer pressure. I didn't have any pressure on me that people were going to look at my every move and catch it, probably twist it around into their own little fantasies to make me seem like a bad person all over again. And of course, I did have like the odd, not the odd, it was like a lot actually. In year like 7 and year 8, I did have like, every kind of like popular boy try to come up to me, say that they liked me. And the sad thing is, I did like at least 2 of them, not at the same time. I just like one of them, like at 2 of them at different times. And I did end up dating them. Worst mistake of my life, because of course when I didn't want to send news and I didn't want to have sex and I didn't want to, do anything like that, they of course dumped me, twisted the kind of truth and made me seem like I did have sex with them. Or I did, send them nudes, sort of thing. So year 10, the year I'm in now, I was a lot happier and less anxious on online schooling. And the funny thing is, all my mates were like, oh, like my proper group of friends now, which I can't tell so far, but I definitely think these are like true friends. They were all like, oh, I can't wait to go back to school. I don't like online school. And I'm there like, I love it. Because they don't know they know the rumors. They don't believe the rumors and they don't kind of pursue it in any way. But they don't know the depression I had. They don't know the full story. So as of right now, I'm still in year 10, got a good group of friends as of what I can see. And as of right now, I do feel not 100% better. Like I still got that little bit of my depression. I still got that up and down days. I still got that the days where I could be totally fine one minute and then just completely bad the next. But I do think I am definitely getting better. And I think the worst thing you can do is bottle it up like I did. Like I know it's hard to speak about these things, but I think bottling it up is the worst you can do. And talking about your emotions is the best you can do. Like I know it's hard, but it's really for the best. Because ending your life is just not worth it. You deserve to be happy no matter what race, what religion, what you are as a person or who you are as a person. It doesn't matter. You deserve to be happy for as long as you live, really. So find a trusted person. It doesn't have to be an adult. It can be your friends. Just find a trusted person and please talk about it. Because I can tell you, if it wasn't for my trusted person, I definitely would probably not be here right now. And I wouldn't get a chance to share kind of my story. And when you get out of whatever you may be, when you get out of depression or these thoughts or hurting yourself purposely, it is worth it in the end because you feel so proud of yourself for overcoming this thing. So you should be so proud of yourself if you overcome it. So yeah, that's my story.
I tried to keep myself occupied, but I was still paying attention to you at the same time because I didn't want to cry. So I was like looking at cute dog videos while you were talking.
Okay, so moving on. Pineapple, would you like to talk about how your experience with death?
Well, whenever I was about, I'd say 12, 13, it was my best friend's birthday. I had just went to her house. We were in her pool, swimming, having fun with me, her, and a couple others. And about an hour after my mom dropped me off, she came back. And she tried not to tell me right away. But I ended up having her tell me while I was still in the pool. My uncle had just passed away like 10 minutes after I left the house. I was supposed to spend the night at my friend's house. Well, I decided I was still going to. And then throughout the night, I started to get more emotional and more didn't want to stay, didn't want to be around people. It was starting to get to the point where I didn't want to be with my friends. So I ended up calling my mom at like midnight, ended up leaving, going back home, which isn't a far drive. We live like 5 houses from each other, so it wasn't that bad. But I get to the house and like I went straight to my room. I didn't talk to anyone because it was my dad's brother. So like he wasn't emotional because he was trying to hold it in for my grandmother that also lived with us, which was her son. So I went straight to my room. My emotions didn't really hit right away. So I didn't really have time to think about it or cry about it because of my grandmother and my dad. So it was like 2 days later, we headed up to where the funeral was being done at. And my emotion still hasn't let out. I still haven't said anything, done anything. It wasn't really emotional for me yet. It hasn't hit yet. So we're sitting at the funeral home, and we're all outside. It was me and my mom and my cousin all standing talking. And my cousin said something that really must have triggered my inner emotion. And right then, my eyes started watering. I started bawling, crying. It was awful. No one else seen besides my cousin and my mom, thank God. But when we got home, it really hit more that I couldn't call him and talk to him, and it hurt. So that's whenever my mental health started going really weird. I wouldn't talk to my friend that whole rest of that summer. I would not talk to my friend at all. That's when I started learning to dye my hair whenever my emotions hit. And I never hurt myself in any way, but I mentally hurt myself bad. And I think it really took a lot to maintain that and to really help myself. But it also still is there deep down. So I still have the thought, like things I didn't say, things I didn't do before he died. Because the last time I seen him before that was at our family reunion. That was like a month prior. But after I started feeling better, started talking to my friends again, it helped a lot because it occupied my mind away from it. And as the years went on, that time of the year is still bad for us, but it doesn't hurt as much as it used to. But I mean, I still cry sometimes over it, but everyone does once in a while, I guess, about family members that you miss or things you regret doing or saying or basically anything like that. But yeah, that's it.
I think with both mental health and experiencing someone you love or someone that's close to you pass away, I think time is a very big part of grieving and getting over it.
Yes.
You won't necessarily always get over it. In the back of your mind, you're always going to remember that person. You're always going to remember the feeling. Doesn't matter what situation you're in. I think time is definitely a big part of it. And talking to people is also a very big part of it too.
Yes.
Like, it's not always easy. Like, it was definitely hard for me to talk about it first when I first opened up to that one mate that really helped me. But it helps a lot and it is worth it. And yeah, so time is very big
And
part
it is
that
okay
plays.
to regret certain things you have done.
Exactly.
Didn't say something or do something, it's in the past. Can't really change it, but you can look back at all the good memories you had and not just that one bad one.
Exactly. And it's always okay to cry. I think people don't hear it enough. It's always okay to cry. It's always okay to be vulnerable. It doesn't matter what, background you come from. It's always okay to cry. It's always okay to be vulnerable, because being vulnerable opens you up to many opportunities that you can find out about yourself. The depression story, the thing that I went through and still am going through, as much as it hurts to think about all them times that I did, regret doing, things like hurting myself purposely, although those things are very kind of bad to look back on, it also, in a way, helped me grow and figure out how to deal with it. I still got really bad anxiety. Like, I'm anxious just saying this story. I still got very bad anxiety, but I know how to deal with it now. And whatever bad thing that you go through, there's always a good thing that comes to the end of it. You might not be at that good thing yet, but you will eventually. And trust me when I say this, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And that's why I think like big influencers are very I like to follow loads of like influencers that are very positive about these things, because they're always there to kind of help you. And influencers, you always look up to influencers. And that's why I try and surround myself with positive friends, people who accept me, positive resolutions instead of, you know, hurting myself purposely. Do something positive instead. Like reading a book. I love reading. I love writing too. That's like my little getaway. And like I always surround myself with positive things online, because online can be such a negative place.
Yeah.
It can be such a negative place, and it can really tear you down. Throughout lockdown, loads of influencers I know have been taking breaks from social media because of it being such a negative place. So as well as learning how to take a step back from these things and look at how far you've come, it's also a lot like better, I guess, to surround yourself with positivity. I know we mentioned this last time, but Max and Harvey are definitely very positive people. They always look for the good in situations, and that's why I like them.
Yeah.
And not just because they're good singers and they are kids TV presenters, which I think is absolutely adorable, but also because they are really positive. People like Just the Brave, they're positive. Chapter 13, they're quite positive, aren't they?
Yeah.
Exactly. So and Daz Black is very positive. He was great during lockdown. For me personally, he was great. And I had seen a lot of comments, and I don't mean just one or two, I mean like thousands of comments that basically, like hundreds of comments that basically say, you should up my lockdown, Daz Black, thank you. So Daz Black, Darren Blackmore, either way, he's very positive as well. So that's that, I think.
And it's okay to have regrets from when you were 5, 6, 7. Because I still have one specific one that anytime that anyone's ever had a death experience, that I always tell them, it's whenever I was really young and it was almost Christmas time and my uncle was dying of cancer. And he wasn't very verbal, but some words you can make out. Well, I was young and didn't know what he was saying to me, and he said, I love you. And I just said goodbye, and I walked out. I regret to this day, and I'm already about to start crying, but I regret to this day doing it, but I can't change it. But I know that I loved him still. If you regret something,
Yeah,
don't worry about it. It's in the past. But if you love them, tell them you love them before it's too late. I regret it every day. That's all I gotta say.
no, I agree. And it's okay to make mistakes. Like, it's the same with regrets. Like,
Yeah.
people make mistakes, and we can't change the mistakes, but we can make them better for when in our future, we can always be better. We can only grow from here on out. So yeah, there are quite a few apps. My story did involve a lot of kind of like going to websites that help you and downloading apps. One app that really struck out to me was something called Me Too. And it's a really good app. You have to be anonymous. You're not allowed to say your name on it at all. So they basically make you have an anonymous name, and you're allowed to let out your thoughts and feelings. Other people can see your post, click a heart, which usually means, oh yeah, me too, I felt like that too, and they can reply to make you feel better. And it's not like private reply, no, it's for everyone to see reply. And the good thing about it is the moderators that moderate the app always check every single reply, every single post, in case you're in danger of leaking something that you like something personal for someone to find out that it's you, or in case it's something bad saying to a person. So this whole app is just positive based, and I love that app. I use it so many times. And of course, talking to proper people do help as well. But sometimes it's, for me specifically as well, talking to people face to face isn't the best option I can do. I kind of seize up and I lie about a lot of things, like, oh, I'm feeling fine, I haven't, felt this way in ages, when really deep down it just means nothing really. So if you struggle with talking to people face to face, this app is definitely good. Okay, I think we're gonna cut it there. This has been quite an emotional ride.
Yeah, I almost cried.
I almost cried a lot as well. But hey, it's okay to cry. So we're gonna cut it here today, people, folks, everyone watching, to our 7 viewers. We hope that sharing our experiences and stories have made you feel less alone in this. Our YouTube DMs are always open. We will always be there to help you as much as we can. And if you don't want to do it through YouTube DMs, on the video right now, you should be able to see our email and our Instagram. So go over to Instagram, DM us on there. We will be happy to help you out. We'll do the best we can. And if it's something that we're not quite experienced in, we'll just be there to lighten up your day, I guess. Abby can make like a pineapple joke or something. Yeah. That's going to be it for this podcast today. I'm sweating.
Honestly, so same.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if it's my fan thought on or like I'm actually like sweating.
I'm sweating. I sweat when I'm anxious.
Yeah.
Okay. Next week we're probably going to be a little bit more cheerful. This is going to be one of the few weeks that we're going to get deep into this. And we just felt it was necessary to bring out this because I know in lockdown people struggle a lot with things like this. So we hope sharing our stories has helped you at least a little bit, or made you smile, not in a mean way, just in a way that to know that you're basically not alone. But yeah, so we're going to cut this podcast short. Pineapple, have you got anything to say?
No, not really, not now.
All right then, well, we'll see you guys next week in a cheerful podcast. Okay, bye.
Bye.
See, I ain't got no type. Baby, name your price.